Cheers.
Hello, sir. See you waiting.
Hello?
Hey,
Yeah.
what's up?
Yeah. What's up? How's it going, man?
All right.
Yeah. So, you were talking about the fact that guns and whatever advocate them for people to have firearms, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm pro firearms rights.
Or why is that?
Sorry?
Why is that when you live in the one of the most safest country in the whole world, like
Yeah,
Canada?
so
Is
Canada has one of the highest rates of firearms ownership in the world. If you look at per household firearms ownership, it's pretty close to the United States. It's lagging behind the US, Switzerland. I think there's a few other Norway, but it's one of the highest rates of firearms ownership in the world.
Yeah, but I mean, for you, specifically, do you think that is, or for anyone living in Canada, is this necessary to have, especially
I don't
um,
care
yeah,
about what is and isn't necessary. I
not
think you
at
have a
this,
right to defend yourself, and I don't see how banning firearms makes the world any safer for anybody.
but I mean, with the considerable the economic prosperity of a country like Canada, right, including the U.S. It's completely unnecessary. There's a lot of percentages if
I
you look
don't
into
care about what's
people.
unnecessary or not.
No,
So
no, if you
like
let me
we
for a
aren't
second.
beings of necessity. We make rights based on a set of preferences we have. And one of my preferences is to have a right to defend myself and for others to defend themselves. Yeah, self defense isn't necessary. You can let somebody rape you or kill your entire family or have the government commit a Holocaust against ethnic minorities. It's not necessary to defend against any of that.
Absolutely, this is. I agree with you. I see this as a discussion, not necessarily a debate or whatever. I see it as a form of discussion
Yeah,
because
so
I
I
think
don't really
it's
care, dude.
more
Do you have like
applicable
a
to the youth.
specific proposition that you want to make? Because if you're
Yeah,
just going to keep flip flopping on like different values and shit, just make a specific proposition that I can argue against.
yeah. So my proposition is that in a country, specifically a country like Canada, it's not necessary to have firearms. Right?
Okay,
Because
we've already agreed it's not
let me
necessary to
finish.
own
Let me finish.
firearms. That's not a
Yeah,
fucking proposition that I'm going to argue against. It's also not
yeah,
necessary to have indoor plumbing. We can all shit outside.
yeah. But
Like
it's
you're
not
clearly trying to
only
make a
not
different point.
no
So
no
just
no no no.
make a more
Yeah,
sensible
yeah,
proposition.
yeah. Absolutely. So what I was trying to say is it's actually destructive to advocate for that, for the overproduction of firearms, for having to own a firearms continuously, for the manufacturing continuously having those things, and within a country like Canada. It's absolutely
Okay,
wasteful. It's absolutely if you want that for the sake as seeing it as a toy so you can play with it, that is absolutely unjustifiable. Plus if you especially if you, as you were saying before, I think I watched several videos of you saying that about killing and taking trash or whatever. This is kind of like a violence tendency within you, and somebody like you should not own any form of or so I'm serious. I don't know why you're
yeah, so
laughing.
do you think
It's so
buddy, do you
dangerous to
think
have somebody
banning
like you
guns would in
generally.
any way prevent me from owning a firearm?
In Canada, it might, but it's finding
Okay,
with
so
people
please
like
explain to
you who
me.
have
Okay,
violence
so
tendency
handguns, dude,
to have
handguns have been
easy
banned in
access.
Canada a few months ago. Please explain to me how shootings have increased. If 12-year-old kids can get a hold of handguns, how the fuck do you think banning guns would get rid of firearms? Like,
Yeah,
by
so
the way, like I'm not a criminal or anything. I don't have any intention of going
I
out and
know.
finding a firearm, but it's easy to get a gun. I don't know what you think banning would do, especially in the age of 3D printing. I could literally go out buy a $300 3D printer and print as many guns as I fucking want.
Yeah, I mean, there could be a regulatory aspect within even the manufacturing of 3D printer
No,
and
you
everything
can't.
else.
You cannot regulate manufacture if people can build their own guns with a $300 printer.
But you can have a way around that until then, and it's not going to be easy to access it again if more and more people are doing it. But not more and more people are doing it. What
Yeah, they
currently
are.
people are
What
doing?
are you talking
No,
about?
most
When
people.
you see
And,
a concurrent
and
increase in homemade firearms when you ban firearms.
is that what is happening, or people are actually just
Yes.
going to the store and
Yes.
buying a gun because of easy access
Machine
to
guns
it?
have been banned in Canada and the US for a very long time. People have been making their own homemade machine guns as a result. Like, what are you
That,
talking about?
I'll be honest, I did not know about. I'll be honest with you. But the thing is, like again, they could be at least at the very least a regulatory aspect within that, and that is
No, there
important
can't. You
too.
cannot regulate criminal activity. If somebody wants to break the law, they break the law. The only thing you can do
It
is
should
punish
be banned.
criminals.
Yeah, and it should be punished and it should be banned. If you
So,
own a
can you
firearm,
explain to me the reasoning why somebody should go to jail just for possessing something?
yeah, so if you have a possession of a gun that is manufactured within your home and depends on like everything within like how it's being printed and
Like,
because
why?
of
If a
like
crime hasn't been committed, why the fuck is it a problem if somebody has a gun?
because of licensing and yeah, if somebody did not commit a crime, if they didn't take it outside of their home, they were carrying it just for fun or whatever. That's up to them.
Then
I wouldn't
why wouldn't
advocate
you
for that
just
though.
arrest
So
somebody or charge them if they committed a crime with a firearm?
no, but still, like the luck, the luck, the luck, the sorry. So the the chance of somebody committing a crime uh, for easy access to guns is going to be higher, and that is where it's showing. Like case, if you take
No.
any case of mass shootings, in many cases, the easy aspect of to access a gun is a major thing within these like mass
Yeah, so when you're
shootings and
talking about
crimes.
mass shootings, but mass shootings in
Also,
particular don't make up a large portion of firearms deaths. It's literally like
oh,
less than 1%.
and again, this is
So
like
you're saying on
also
the basis of stopping 1% of mass shootings, or sorry, 1% of shootings in general, you want to ban firearms outright?
I'm saying in Canada, sure, but in the US, it's going to be more challenging thing to do. And
So,
not only that,
sorry,
also not
sorry.
only that, but
Wait. So the last big mass shooting that happened in Canada was in Nova Scotia, where the guy illegally obtained every single firearm he had. That would not have prevented that mass shooting. So you want to ban guns outright in Canada for the purpose of preventing mass shootings when that has not prevented mass shootings.
but what is the likability of that? Like, what is the chance of that is happening? What is the probability of that is to happen in Canada?
Well, I don't know
It's
what you
way
mean by
lower,
what are the
extremely lower.
chances? Like, we just had a mass shooting.
Yeah, but it's extremely like this is probably one of like rare cases, right? And I can look
Okay,
into the
so
matter
you're
further.
saying we
I did
should,
not look into
if
it.
you're going to admit it's a rare case, then why the fuck would you bother banning anything if it's a rare circumstance?
Because again, it's absolutely when you do that, it's gonna eventually what is gonna happen is the same case within the U.S. You advocating for like overproduction of something that has
I don't know what you mean
I
by
can't
overproduction.
traffic overproduction of military like militarism, right? To have those like type of equipments in like the environment that we currently live in can completely destroy because of like everything is and I'm sure you agree with me with this what about What I'm
Okay,
about to say
wait, I'm just going to
is,
stop you there. You mentioned something about military weapons. You realize about 80% of
no,
homicides are
I'm
committed
saying
with handguns,
militarization,
right?
not yeah, but I'm saying militarization, not only
What do you
military
mean?
weapon. What I mean by that is like anything that has to do with anything that is weapons, anything like guns, firearms, everything within that category, right? So, like the overproduction of these things can
I don't know what you
eventually,
mean by overproduction. Like, what are you talking about?
I mean, like when you advocate, or simply when you have a more legislative act that is fine with like the production, continuous production of these, weapons, right? What is gonna happen? More and more people are gonna have access to it, and
Good.
more people who
Yeah, good.
might
More
have
people should
like
own
a
guns so they can defend themselves.
yeah, but a lot of people have the sociopathic tendencies, right? I don't know. Maybe
Well,
you
if
changed,
okay, so if you're gonna
but
say
I
somebody is a
saw like
danger, they're gonna be a
YouTube
danger with
videos.
or without a gun. And considering guns have gotten so accessible to the point where you can just make them in your home with a $300 printer, I don't know what you think is gonna happen if they were banned. Like again,
So
handguns have been banned in Canada, along with a number of rifles that were just arbitrarily banned on a list that included thousands of firearms. Shootings have gone up.
I think this is like I don't know if I've never looked into the data. If you can sign me where you got the data, like source it, I will look into it. But I've never seen something like that. But in any case, because of other countries, when they have a lower accessibility to guns, you see far less, a homicide rate, and
No,
you
no, you
see
don't.
less like
No, you
you,
don't.
you do.
No, you don't.
Uh,
No.
Richard, like,
So there
you
are more
go, like,
homicides in the United States per capita versus other countries, but that's entirely due to organized crime. There just happens to be less organized crime in other European countries. So if you actually try to look at the association between firearms and violence, there's no association whatsoever. Again, countries like Switzerland have the same per capita ownership rate as the United States, and they do not have anywhere close to the homicide rate. So
what
there's
do you
no
think?
association between gun ownership and homicide. There is a massive association between organized crime and homicides.
And why do you think like this is the case with Sweden and not the US? Why is that? Why they do have
I
that, but
I
yeah,
just told you there's less organized crime.
yeah. And what else? Like, do you think just that solely, or there's other things?
Well, I
What it
guess like if we're
integrates?
talking about mass killings, like mental health is certainly a factor, but the biggest determining factor for violence in general is just organized crime.
But don't you think it's much more complex than that?
No.
Like a socioeconomic factors,
Well,
no?
again, that leads into
Socioeconomic
organized
factors,
crime.
inequality,
Yeah,
like
again, that leads
inequality.
into
Yeah,
organized
definitely
crime,
does.
but organized crime is the common
100%.
denominator here.
Yeah, and the reason behind it is like if you deprive, in many cases, there's a lot of places that is completely deprived. I mean, you mentioned several times like South Chicago, and I've been to South Chicago multiple times. And it's kind of like if you go at night, it can be unsafe. Yeah, you see a lot of like youngsters outside, some gang banging and that. But the point that I'm trying to make is that it's definitely, a like South Chicago, for example, is completely deprived. Like you can see the infrastructure, you can see the schools, you can see
Right, so you
houses.
want to take away guns from law abiding citizens so that criminals are a greater risk to them.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's much more complex to
You
ensure.
just said you're in favor of outright banning firearms. So you want to
I'm
make sure law abiding
100%,
citizens can't get
100,
guns so that only
yeah,
criminals have
100%.
firearms.
100%. But the thing is, it has to be an integrative process. It can't just be like ban. That's it. It has
Okay,
to
I
be,
don't think you're really
because I
listening to what
recognize.
I had to say. I'm kind of done talking, but thanks for
Yeah, I
coming
mean,
on.
I
If you
respect.
can
Yeah,
create like a more um, succinct
I think
proposition
it's.
for me, because we're kind of talking in circles.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
come
just
on
think.
later to debate.
Sure, I think it's a more complex issue and needs to be
Uh-huh.
discussed further. But cheers to that.
All
See
right.
you.
We'll take care.
Take it.
Oh boy.
How are you feeling tonight? Did you eat before stream?
Feeling great tonight, Sam. Didn't really eat before stream. I think the last meal I had was around like 5 or 6 or something. So it was a few hours before stream. Didn't do any training today. Had a day off, so I'm nice and relaxed. So if you're down, could always do some sit-ups and twerk.